Welcome back to our reading through the scriptures in 1 year. And as I give you these brief summaries, I hope to give you a context of what you're reading so that what you read makes sense to you. So we're at session 42. That means we're reading this week Jeremiah 37 to Jeremiah chapter 48. Now what we got as you begin in chapter 37 is, well, here's Judah. Now remember what we've got here historically. You had the 12 tribes of Israel. They were split by the son of Solomon, Rehoboam. Rehoboam took 2 of the tribes down south called Judah, and Jeroboam, he took 10 of the tribes up north, and that became called Israel or Ephraim or the northern kingdom. 125 years before this time, God finally, because Israel up north, they had nothing but bad kings. They all turned their backs on God and his covenant. So God uses Assyria basically to take them away. Here we are 125 years later, and God's threatening through Jeremiah to do the very same thing to these final 2 tribes, which contains the throne of David called Judah. And so they have good kings, but they have bad kings. When we come to chapter 37, we've got a bad king here. And as he hears Jeremiah keep warning that God's going to bring judgment on the wickedness of the king and the people, it's amazing how the leadership affects the culture and the people, that he's going to use Babylonian forces, and they're going to burn the city, burn the temple. And so the king gets ticked, or the leadership gets ticked, and they throw him as a traitor. They really view Jeremiah as a traitor. Remember, he's the weeping prophet. And they throw him into a dungeon. And there as a dungeon, he sits there and he's cast there. And he's abandoned, at least he feels abandoned. And Jeremiah then is released by the actual king when he finds out. And the king asks him, now what is it that you are saying, that my leaders threw you into prison? And he says, I'm telling you to surrender to the Babylonians, because God's going to use them to bring the punishment upon Judah. Well, this is the 9th year of Zedekiah, and again, Zedekiah is the 20th king of Judah, of the southern kingdom, and he's going to be the last king. As a matter of fact, he's warned by Jeremiah about Babylonian forces, but he doesn't take the counsel. Because the other counselors are saying, well, let's all flee down to Egypt and we'll beat up the Babylonians by joining and partnering with the Egyptians. And God, through Jeremiah, says, don't do that. Don't do that, because God's going to use Babylonians to actually bring judgment against Egypt, and you're going to get caught up in that. Well, he ignores Jeremiah, and they do go down to Egypt, and Zedekiah is basically captured by the Babylonians. He's blinded, and both his sons are killed. Interesting, Jeremiah is spared, and he's sent home to dwell with his people. Well, interesting thing, God does go ahead, and after the leadership brings Judah down to in Egypt, Babylonians, after destroying the Judah and the temple, they go down to Egypt and they destroy basic leadership of Egypt. And so they are caught. That's why you actually have 3 different captivities by the Babylonians of Judah. The first one, second one, and then the final one is when they defeat Egypt at this time. Well, anyhow, Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians are not going to stop there. He's going to destroy the Philistines. Remember them. He's going to go ahead and destroy Moab. Because God will bring judgment on Moab, because there was a time Judah was in trouble and wanted to call their brothers from Moab to help, and they wouldn't do that. So God uses Babylonians. They were called a overflowing flood to bring God's judgment upon all those who turned their backs on God. So basically, everything Jeremiah warned and everything that he said, the stiff-necked people wouldn't believe him. They would not learn from their brothers of the north who were taken away from Assyria, and they would not believe the words of this prophet, but rather punished him for it. But God fulfills everything that he said he would do through Jeremiah, and we will pick that up, the last 4 chapters of this remarkable prophecy of Jeremiah, next week. Anyhow, enjoy your reading and stay faithful, and we'll talk to you then.